Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about the new Disney Plus television series Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which is a show, which for a long time I thought was a movie. So maybe that's a spoiler. I don't think it is.
No, you really did think it was a movie.
Yeah, for a long while.
Yeah.
Well, I also thought for a while that it wasn't a movie and it was animated because I was getting it confused with Bad Batch.
Okay.
Yeah, anything with new characters, I just kind of all lumped into the same thing.
Sure.
If it's not Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think it's just one samey thing.
And there might be an alternate timeline of they might have promoted this as a movie at some point. You know, Disney has been flip-flopping and stuff around lately, and just generally companies are less committed to what even the hell it is that they're making anymore.
I wouldn't even say they promoted it as a movie, but I think they didn't promote it as a show. They were just like, Skeleton Crew's coming. And
right.
Marvel did the same thing. For a long time, I had no idea if Thunderbolts was a show or a movie. Because it kind of feels like a show, because it's like a bunch of characters all together. I'm like, is Thunderbolts a show or a movie? And they're like, don't worry about it. It wasn't until the trailer came out that I was like, okay, it's a movie.
And I think Lionheart was a movie before they moved it to a show.
Oh, I think that was always a show.
Was that always a show?
But that one I'm not sure of.
But they've been very non-committal about, Disney as a whole has been very non-committal about whatever it is that they're making.
Yeah. Now that they have it all on one platform, they're like, we'll release a title and then figure it out.
Yeah, kind of. We'll vibe it.
Yeah. What do you want it to be?
Yeah. What does our availability schedules look like? It might be.
Oh, Jude can do 8 episodes. Okay, so Skeleton Crew could be long.
Oh, Jude can do 4 episodes, huh? We'll figure it out.
Skeleton Crew can be short.
Yeah. A little bit that, and a little bit like companies lately have just been even just non-committal with their dates, which has been trash for us trying to, we're very organized people. We like organizing what's going on the podcast. Oh, right, we weren't even supposed to be doing this week.
We weren't supposed to be doing this. Not that Disney screwed us over this month, but still, everyone's just flip-flopping their dates left and right all the time these days.
So if you listened to the full episode last week, when we talked about Kick-Ass 2, at the end we mentioned that this week we would be doing Secret Level, the Amazon Prime anthology series about video games. We were going to do that because we thought it was an all-at-once drop, but apparently it's half up front and then half a week later, which screws up our schedule. So that will be released next week on our Patreon as a Patreon exclusive. But that was supposed to be this week, and we had to move that because of this. And just Penguin for
just
6 months just said fall. Warner Brothers was like, we'll release it in fall. Don't worry about it.
And we were like, when can we put it on our schedule? And they were like, the fall.
Don't worry about it.
And then Skeleton Crew, very helpfully, I guess, released their show a whole day early for no reason that I can really parse.
I cannot figure out why they decided to do it one day earlier than they.
Early doesn't do anything.
They were just like, we're ready, I guess.
They were just too excited.
They were too excited about the Skeleton Crew. But yes, so fans of ours, if you listened to last week's episode, you heard us say we were going to do Secret Level. We still are, but it's going to be the Patreon exclusive for this month.
I mean, honestly, next week we're doing Kraven, and I don't even believe it's going to come out. That's been moved 8 times.
Yeah.
So if our schedule changes again and we're not doing Kraven, I'm prepared.
Yes.
If I just show up at the theater and they were like, it's not here.
Yeah, we shuffle Secret Level in or something, and then, I don't know, we're talking about the idea of Kraven on the Patreon. Who knows?
We review the trailer for Kraven.
Shit might become ethereal on this podcast, the way that companies are just kind of bebopping and scatting around with what they're releasing when. But we have seen the first 2 episodes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. So we're just talking about the taste, the initial release of the first 2 episodes. Let's start with the usual, since this is a new television show. The spoiler-free review is how we started out. Then once you hear the theme song, we will be in the spoiler-filled section. But for a spoiler-free review, the usual, the simple question, Diana, did you like it?
I like it fine. I think it's a good show that I like fine. There's nothing really glaringly wrong about it, but I don't love it at any point. I'm having just a good enough time. I really like 2 of the kids. I'm mediocre on 1 kid. I actively despise 1 kid, and that's really hurting me. It ruins a lot of the fun of a kid show when you're like, man, I hate one of these kids. Really brings it down. There is kind of they're building now more of a sense of fun and adventure. It's paced a little slowly off the top. The first episode isn't like moving along, but it is like cute and charming a lot of the times. You're like, oh, they do feel like kids. I mean, they actually are kids, which is easy. They're children. It's like aimed towards everyone, but it's not like junior, which is nice because I kind of was worried. I was like, is this a kid show for kids? But I'm like, oh no, this is like a family show. So like I like it fine. It's definitely not a love. I was reading some reviews online that baffle me about like these glowing reviews that it's like incredible and there's people are so excited. I'm like, I'd love to feel those things, but I do not. But we can get into more of that later. So yeah, I'm a good to fine to, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not doing anything for me, particularly, individually, for Diana's. Andrew, how are you feeling about Skeleton Crew?
I'm very similar. I think it's fine. I think it is kind of skewed. It's obviously skewed a bit younger. It's meant to be a kid's show. I agree it's not pure kids, but it's something that you would kind of want to watch with children. Like I do think the sweet spot for this is like maybe kids who have not been introduced to Star Wars, or if they have, their Star Wars experiences maybe Lego Star Wars. Yeah, I would put the kind of so far the kind of themes and intentions that they're going for to be more junior than Clone Wars animated series or anything like that. Like I would say it's more junior than the animated stuff and just above Lego Star Wars video games in terms of finding out what's going on in this world. So I don't know, if you had kids and you were trying to introduce them to Star Wars, I think it's a fun and fine introduction. I agree with you. There's a couple of, especially one kid, a star. There is a star. A true star is born in this. Wow. So there is that. But also, there's a couple of flops here, which feels bad to say when you're talking about kids, but it doesn't quite work. And I agree, pacing is bad. The pacing is bad. These should just be 22-minute episodes. Why this first episode is like 50-something minutes. It's a bunch of plot lines go nowhere, a bunch of visual effects that clearly you didn't have time to finish. It's a 22 minutes kid show. I don't know why the hell they're trying to fill time like this. It makes everything around it worse.
Yeah, and I know this is a show, so it doesn't really, it's weird to compare it to a movie, but it is telling one continuous story. So at this point, we would be an hour and 20 minutes into a movie. Yeah. If this was a movie, because the first episode's 50 minutes, the next one's 30. So it's like you're an hour and 20 in, and we just met Jude Law.
We should be going in for the close at this point. Yeah,
we should be going into Act 3, or at least have like the crux of the idea by now.
And it very much is visibly a movie. Like it has all of the identifying markers of a movie more so than a TV show. And I know that those lines can be blurred a little bit, but these first two episodes, it immediately feels like a movie where they just kind of that is moving glacially slow. That they just kind of stopped at random intervals. It doesn't have. There's no arc within each individual episode.
There is not an episode arc. No, they just kind of stop whenever they feel like it. Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was the show not feeling like a show or if it was me being like, Jude Law only does movies, because he's an A-lister to me.
Yeah, oh yeah,
to me,
I get
him
that.
Being in a show is like not weird because it's Disney Plus, it's Star Wars. Of course, that's a huge property, but I can't get over the hump of Jude Law's in a show.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely feels like a movie that's poorly paced.
Yeah.
Or a TV show that's poorly paced.
Yeah.
I mean, both.
Yeah. I think somewhere in there.
But the kids are cute and they're having fun.
Yeah. And if you've got kids and you want to sit down and watch a Star Wars thing with them and they're maybe age like, I don't know, I would probably skew this as like an 8 to 13 kind of bracket, like that, like they are preteens and they can handle, some threats of violence without any kind of graphic violence. I think this is kind of a sweet spot for a family watch. I could see that.
I could see that if that is the age of these children. I do not know how to age children.
It's also tough. I'm putting them around 12.
One of them's CG, so he could be anything.
I don't know. Yeah, he could be a Yoda. Grogu's like 100. I don't know what the hell.
If this kid ends up being 75, that would be incredible.
Absolutely. It could be that. And can it be spoiled?
So far, not so much. I mean, really just like basic plot, not in any Star Wars way.
No, not in any Star Wars way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think it can be spoiled. It's a real boilerplate plot. Yeah. The kid.
If you've seen the Goonies, you got it.
It's the Goonies, but what if that pirate ship flew? Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Literally.
That's the whole
I think
thing.
that's literally every review I had read compared that to, this is Goonies in a spaceship.
In a spaceship instead of a pirate ship. So that's the show, but let's get into the spoiler-filled section. Let's talk more about Star Wars Skeleton Crew. All right, we have seen the first 2 episodes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. We're about a medium on it.
We're about a medium on it. Off the top, I want to know which one of us we each think is the star child, because I'm curious if it's even the same kid.
Oh, it's Neil. It's the elephant.
Neil. Okay.
It's the elephant.
I just had to be sure. On our spoilers for our Patreon, we had very different opinions on episodes of Secret Level. That was hilarious on our favorites.
Yes.
So I was like, if we think different kids are stars, that's going to be so hilarious.
This kid, Robert Timothy Smith. And I feel bad because he's a CGI character.
I think he's physically there.
I think he is physically there in the space.
Kids aren't that good at actor to pretend.
I think he's there in the physical space and is being replaced later. And kudos to the visual effects department, because also it is a really good-looking creature that emotes really well and pops. Like, this is a great alien species they've come up with.
Without being too much.
Yes.
Without, he's an elephant, but he's not an elephant, but he's not you can't stop looking at him and he's distracting, but you're also he's cute and he looks real. He's a perfect balance. And also performance is incredible. I love Neil. I die for Neil.
The performance is absolutely wonderful. I assume he's on set and they're kind of matching his physical movements, but just the bounciness, the kind of adventure-y but wants to leave, the voice that he is adding to this character, this feels incredible. Neil is my guy.
Neil is so good. He's so kind and giving, but he doesn't feel super gullible or he's being taken advantage of. They do still feel like equal friends, even when the girls show up and kind of trick them a little bit. I love this balance of Neil being smart, but a little naive, but he's clearly a kid and he likes to play, but he still is good at studying and good at school. I'm am I Neil? Or do I want to be Neil? Is Neil my ideal?
I think a little bit of both. You got the Neil ideal.
I got the Neil ideal.
You got the Neil ideal.
I love this kid. He doesn't shit on your ideas, but he's also maybe we go home halfway through digging up the ship.
That's what I really like. It feels like an actual friendship. It doesn't feel like a bunch of archetypes hanging out. It does feel like Neil is a little bit more academically focused, a little bit more family focused, but it's still I'm going to go outside and play with my friend for a little bit, but it's getting dark and I'm going to go home now. Mm-hmm. It's not I'm a complete fuddy-duddy who gets dragged along on every adventure. It is not an 80s trope. It is a 3-dimensional, fleshed out character, which is really incredible, and he performs it as such. So
Neil's the breakout, but his friendship with Wim is really well done. It's really well established. It feels like it has history. A really great introduction when they just meet on the street and they just start a lightsaber battle, even though they don't have fake lightsabers, don't even have sticks.
Yeah.
And that does feel just kid-like enough and friend enough that you do this all the time. You have fake lightsaber fights. Mm-hmm.
I think Wim had a fake lightsaber, but I think Neil didn't.
It had just the handle, but it didn't have any stick.
Oh, yeah.
Even my fake lightsaber has a stick part.
Yeah.
It's got a glowy end. I can't believe I have better technology than these kids on Adden.
Yeah. It's very fun how they introduce this friendship.
Yeah, so really good friendship with these two. And Wim is also good. He's no Neil, but he's...
Yeah, I agree. Wim is good. Mm-hmm. Wim is good enough.
Wim is good enough. Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I like him just fine. I'm but it's a real Poochie situation. Whenever Neil's not on screen, I'm where's Neil? Yeah, he's ruining the show for everyone, really.
Yeah,
Jude Law's gonna hate this kid. Jude Law's gonna be my gorgeous, beautiful face.
Be I've been lost to Neil. And Wim's doing a pretty good job of anchoring the show, which is a lot to put on a younger actor, to have to anchor a Star Wars, the first ever kids Star Wars television series. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot to have put on your shoulders, but he's doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I think he's doing a pretty good job. I can feel I really like that they have made him screw up a couple things and it's not on purpose, but he does still feel adventurous. He didn't miss his assessment on purpose. He just slept in.
Yeah.
Which he didn't actually send the ship into space on purpose. He was just like, the light was blinking.
I pushed the button.
Yeah,
and, you know.
he's a screw up in a very kid-like way, not in a way. So good writing of Wim and good performance of like, he's still likable even when he screws up.
And he missed the bus because he slept in because he stayed up late reading and studying. And it's just like, well, that's a pretty innocent reason to kind of do that. So
he didn't find the ship yet at that point.
Yes.
He's super, you can really root for him.
Yeah. He's a very, very root-forable guy.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, he's
Cheerable. No.
Cheerable.
That's not it. That's not better.
No. Encourageable. That's a different type of thing.
That's a different thing. What is it if I want to root for him? Like vote for him? Electable?
Electable, sure.
We'd elect Wim?
Sure. He's electable, we'll say. He's electable, we'll say. And there's some stuff about the show that I really like. I like how hard they're leaning into the pirate tone. I think it works. It's a little silly and over the top, but that kind of works for the target demo, the kind of younger demographic that they're going for. The the tri-square hats and eye patches and people talk like this and the R's in space.
I haven't heard a good R since like Pirates. I don't even think they did it then. I think maybe Hook.
Maybe.
I think Hook might have been the last good like pirates. Because even Goonies, you don't meet pirates. They're just like, they find a pirate ship, but they're literal skeletons.
It's just pirate themed.
It's pirate themed. So yeah, these are the first good pirates in a bit.
And I like the old school pirates. Like, you know, it makes sense adjacent for the Star Wars universe. Like, does it fully track? Not if you focus too hard on it. Does it track if you're a 12-year-old watching the show? Absolutely. They're in space. Why wouldn't there be pirates? It makes perfect sense.
There would always be pirates. There's pirates everywhere. So there's going to be pirates in space if there's pirates in the ocean.
Yeah, but the whole eye patch R pirate, you know, like the wooden peg leg pirate is...
Yeah, it's like, it's weird that I feel like an equal number of people in the world have eye patches. Like, why is it?
Right.
Why do pirates skew that way? Why not just like space people who aren't pirates? Why not seamen who aren't pirates?
We could just slip just a regular eye patch people in there. Is what you're saying.
You could balance out the numbers. I don't know why pirates
eye patch representation is what you're saying.
Like, what are they doing that they lose their eyes so much more frequently than other people?
It's a rough life out there.
I mean, I did like that they kind of established in the opening, one guy got shot. It was actually really quick. It was super cute. One guy's an alien in the opening, and he's got 3 eyes, and one of them gets shot off. And then, like, by the end of the scene, when they find the empty vault, he's already got a patch on one of the eyes. I'm like, that is a cute,
it's
super
silly.
Fast joke.
It's fun. Yeah, it's on an eye stalk, so it's not an actual, like, it didn't shoot his brains out or whatever, because he's an alien species, which is fun and silly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like the heavy-handed pirate themes of the show. I think it works.
I think it's cute and it works. There is one joke that was bothering me so much that I didn't understand it, and the reviews I were reading were like, what a funny joke. SM33, like, oh, what a wink and a nudge name. And I was like trying to figure out what you mean. I was like, wait, what does this rhyme with? I don't understand. And like, if you turn the 3s into E's, his name's Smee. Is the joke.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to share that with you, that I was also underwhelmed by this. But once you know, it's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Smee.
Okay.
But I don't know. I was mad at the review because like a bunch of reviews I read kept pointing out what a good joke that was and then not explaining the joke.
Yeah, it's leet speak for Smee.
Yeah, but when's the last time we leet speaked? Like, 12-year-olds don't know that. Current day 12-year-olds?
No,
I don't think.
Well, that joke isn't. There are some jokes that they slip in that are only for adults or whatever. Well, not necessarily in maturity or darkness, but just in terms of the target demo or whatever. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So, but I agree. Smee that's not really anything.
It's not really anything.
It's not really anything.
It's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
It is the Star Wars version of Smee. I'll give you that. You turn the E's into 3s.
Sure. It works. Got me. It works just fine. Yeah. What about the other kids?
I am gonna dunk on Fern, and I hate this kid. Fern's the main girl, and I despise her. And I'm gonna not feel bad about it because I think it's all writing.
Oh, yeah, it is all writing.
It's all writing. And before I go off on her, I'm also going to say a rule I have about hating female characters, because I hate when it happens. Do not like hating female characters. And that rule is you have to imagine the character as a guy and then see if you still hate them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate this character more as a guy because then it's even more of a bully and more physically intimidating.
I think as a guy, he is straight up someone you're rooting against.
Yes.
Like not only is it a dislikable character, I think as a guy it might work because it would be written as the villain of the show.
If Fern was a guy, I think he would have got sucked out an airlock to establish stakes on the ship by now.
If to use the Goonies parable, if Fern was a guy, he is the one who pushed Josh Brolin's bike off of a cliff.
Yes.
Fern's a murderer. Fern is a bad person.
Yeah. Or like wouldn't send the bucket down to get them out of the well, which I think is the same guy. I don't remember.
I don't have.
There might
I can't
be
quite
two
remember.
different mean guys in the Goonies, but yeah, when Fern is so mean that her own friend is like, that was really mean for no reason.
Yeah.
Whatsoever to these nice boys. And it doesn't seem to be where her character's going, that she's written so inconsistently. It's bothering me so bad.
Well, like, I don't even understand why they're bothering with some of the writing of her, because like this pilot episode, which is a bit longer than episode 2 and has more bloat to it, it has a whole thing about her gearing up for a hover race and needing a power converter, and then like two bullier dudes show up to their garage and be like, "You're gonna lose the race," and I'm like, this didn't go anywhere, and maybe at the end she'll come back and do a race or something, but who gives a shit? This is just wasted screen time. And I'm like, maybe that's them trying to soften her to be like, but if you look at the ladder of bully, there's a bully above her. And I'm like, no, you need to show her be nice. You can't show her be bullied. Mm-hmm. That isn't enough. And it's just wasted screen. I don't know where the power converter going on a race. I have someone who drove past my house and was mean. I don't know why those scenes are even in this. It's wasted air. It's wasted air.
But then when you learn her backstory, it's like, oh, you're a bully who is the top of your class and the richest kid in town? God, I don't like you. And you just lie to kids?
Mm-hmm.
I just really despise this character with all my heart and soul.
Yeah.
And then but she's also so inconsistent because she's the most adventurous of them. She nearly kills her friend KB just practicing racing on the streets. They almost get crushed by 2 buses. So she's got this like, oh wow, she is like so flippant with actual danger. Like that's actual physical, you could have died danger. But then as soon as the spaceship goes into the air, she's the responsible one. She's like, no one split up, no one touch any buttons, we have to get home.
Uh-huh.
And that would be interesting as a character arc if we were like 3 or 4 episodes in and she was learning responsibility and not to be so reckless. But it really just feels inconsistent in character.
Yeah.
Because it's so fast and no attention's drawn to it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm sitting there and I'm just remembering what she was like on her home world. And even though that's a safe space, she still did very dangerous things.
Yeah, she could have easily been crushed to death at any moment during that opening sequence.
Yeah, or crashed her bike or anything like that. So yeah, when she's up in space and she's suddenly just like the mom of the group, it didn't read true for me at all. I really hated the writing of this character.
Yeah, because Whim at least is consistent of that, like, I am impulsive, but I do try to pull back, but it's a little too late when I try to pull back.
Yeah. He's consistent even in his like failures.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He goes 5% too far every time, and he does regret it and wish he went 10% back. And that is something that he understands, and it gives his character like a place to grow and be like, maybe he'll figure that out by the end. But that's where he's at. But yeah, she's just all over the place.
She's all over the place. So yeah, not really brought the show down for me.
Yeah,
hate that.
And I almost would have been willing to understand some of the recklessness of it until this show made a shift, and the shift might have been for the better. I'm all over the place. Actually, I'm not going to say it's all over the place. I'm all over the place on this one. My initial reaction when this show started, and it's kids in a suburban neighborhood, and they're all, fairly nice homes, fairly rich, fairly well off, fairly good school. And it's now part of the new republic. The empire has fallen. And they are all wealthy and in family homes that it seems like they've been in for a long time. And immediately, my thought was, all of your parents are Nazis.
Ooh.
Because I'm like, you haven't stayed wealthy families for generations and your parents are important administrators that the government can't do without, which means that they work under the current administration, but they were space Nazis for a long time, and that's how they've acquired wealth, power, and comfort. And I was like, maybe that's why she is shitty. That her supportive mom is like, you're so smart, go to school, get good grades. Isn't our house nice? And she's like, I know mom was a Nazi, and I fucking hate this woman.
Oh my God.
And I thought that's why Fern was being a wild badass, because I'm like, you're a rebel. In every sense of the word, you're a rebel. You hate the school you go to. You hate the parent you have. Even though they work for the current system, you know that they'll just work for any system, and that the school will teach you anything that the people in charge tell them to teach you. So grades are meaningless. And I was like, maybe Fern makes sense because she's just a true rebel. But I think the show... And going what is it? At
Aten.
At Aten is the lost planet. It seems like that they're from. That everyone's like, it's a planet of treasure from the old Republic. Mm-hmm. So maybe they have skipped the Empire completely and have remained hidden, which means that the parents were not space Nazis. Which I understand. You are a kids show. That may be a subject that you don't want to delve into, but it makes everything a lot less interesting, and it makes Fern a lot less motivated. But that was my immediate thought as soon as this show started, that I was like, you are all wealthy Nazis who flipped at the end of the war. That's all you are.
I love that. I don't think that's what the show is saying.
I agree, but that was just my initial reaction.
It's such a cool idea of why Fern could be rebelling and why we should root for her. Of just somehow she has gleaned that everything is wrong about this place. Because it does feel like a place where some things are wrong, but not everything.
Yeah.
But I agree that I do think this, because they have Old Republic credits, I think this is a hidden planet that never joined the Empire and probably isn't part of the current system as well. I think it's completely hidden away. So I think they were old Empire Jedi, and then they were like, oh shit, the Jedi are dead. Let's just huddle up. I think they're in Atlantis kind of planet.
Yeah.
But that would be really cool, because there's definitely some mystery, because we went back to the planet to see the dad, and the droids are mad that he was there, and this is a restricted zone. So there's something going on at Aten other than just being hidden.
Yeah, there's something else happening there. There's some kind of a restricted zone. I do wonder if because they even start with you think that the kids know the story of Luke and the Emperor, but I'm like, are those other Jedi that they're reading the stories of because it's the Old Republic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how current is your Jedi knowledge? Is this not Luke? Is this the originals? Probably, if you've got Old Republic credits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not fully explored in a way that is purposeful. That's not a plot hole. That is we're revealing this slowly. But yeah, because there's also so few humans that we interact with. It's the parents, and then once you're at school, everything is droids. Your teachers are droids, your bus driver's a droid.
Yeah.
When you go into a restricted zone, droids show up and they're like, you can't be in the restricted zone. So there's something surveillance state about Aten.
Yeah.
So we'll find out, but it is a cool mystery. I do actually really like this whole mystery of we can't get home because we're secretly from Atlantis and we didn't know that. I think that's actually really fun.
Yeah.
We haven't really explored it yet because it's only just been revealed, but in terms of just a structure of a show, that's very almost. It's not it's kind of Voyager-esque even if you can't find your way back of just trying to get home. We're just trying to get home.
Yeah.
And we sincerely can't.
Yeah.
Because we didn't oopsie. We did an oopsie.
And a journey home that's a fun journey. That's a fun thing to write. That's a good kids energy as well of the we need to make our way home. Yeah.
Yeah, because kids and at least 2 of these 4 kids are very much I want to go have adventures and explore, and then it's always kids have to find out, no, home's real good for a while. Home's good until I'm at least 18 maybe.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to find out they're all Nazis, and maybe home's not good.
Maybe home's not good.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because no one's that wealthy right after a war, unless they've skipped over the war, unless they've managed to skip over the war.
Because Wim seems a little not as wealthy. I don't know if that was just because he seems to have a single parent, so he isn't as supervised, but his house just seemed not quite as right, not quite as good.
He doesn't have a servant droid.
He didn't have a servant droid.
Like the girl had or whatever, yeah.
But we didn't really go into Neil's house, so it might just be that Fern is rich and everyone else is middle class fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because Fern seemed rich.
Yes, that is true. She seemed the wealthiest.
Yeah. So, and there's clearly a money system if you need lunch money. It's not like a Star Trek. There's no monetary system.
Oh yeah.
If you need lunch money, there's a money system.
Yeah.
So there's tiers of wealth. So that's my analysis.
I had never really thought about the fact that they're still on a money system. The difference between Star Wars and Star Trek is that there is still a credit system, and Star Wars is still capitalist.
I mean, there's some money in Star Trek, just not in the Federation. The Ferengi are always trying to get a bit of dilithium or...
Yeah, there's an exchanging of goods. There's bartering.
There is bartering,
There's
but there's
bartering.
not like credits, no.
No.
No, we're able to make things out of nothing in Star Trek, so it's kind of like, what are you even gonna...
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's not dilithium. What is the... Maybe it's dilithium.
Might be
There's a
dilithium.
substance you can't make in...
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. I
right.
forget if it's exactly dilithium.
But anyway, this is a Star Wars podcast, so we don't have to talk
we
about
don't need to talk about that.
We don't got to talk about the Trek. This is a silly, very brief aside. Every time they say the name of their planet, I think of the Radioactive Man sketch of Up and at them.
Aten. Oh, interesting.
I can't get because they kept saying it like we're from Aten, and I'm like up and at them.
Oh, see, that's what. Okay, I like that. I like that. Where my head went is that I'm like, this is a world with AT-ATs, which some people call AT-ATs, and it's like we're from Aten.
I also thought that, and I was like, they didn't have enough AT-ATs to be called that.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there an official like word of God on the pronunciation of AT-ATs? Versus
I don't think there's a
AT-ATs?
word of God, but I believe AT-AT.
That's
I
crazy that there's
believe
no word
AT-AT.
of God on pronunciation of AT-ATs.
Yeah.
But yeah, at Aden, AT-ATs, or Radioactive Man going up and at them is my take. Oh man, speaking of names, guys, they haven't said it aloud, so I don't know if you know what Jude Law's character is named.
Oh God, here we go.
Okay, Jude Law is playing Jod Na.
Hello, I'm Judd. Nah.
I'm Jod Na. Did they forget to write his character name, or did he refuse to respond to whatever they wrote that wasn't close to his name?
I'm Judd. Nah.
I'm Jod Na.
Did you say Jude Law?
No, I'm Jod Na. I'm from Universal Pictures.
Judd. Nah.
Jod Na.
It's Jude Law's Judd. Nah.
Jude Law.
It's
Jod
very
Na.
rural. Roger.
This is the kind of name.
Jude Law played Judd. Nah.
This is the kind of name you give to someone who's cameoing, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
when Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper and he was like JB or something for James Bond.
Yeah.
Like that is the kind of cameo joke you do of like, oh, that's so funny that Jude Law played Jod Na. Like just a quick rip off of his own
I think
name.
he was like JB007 or something.
like that. Yeah, it was a good cute joke because he had
Yeah.
one line. But yeah,
And
Jude
it
Law
wasn't said in the film either.
was just in the credits. I assume eventually we're gonna say this name out loud.
At some point, he's got to say his name's Judd. Nah.
I can't wait. I'm gonna keep watching just for that. I have to keep watching this show to see Jude Law introduce himself as Jod Na.
Nah. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, Star Wars is fun because it's all fake, but also you can just use your own name if you want to.
You can just be Judd. Nah.
What would I be? I'd be, what's Diana McCollum? I'd be Deanna Mick?
Yeah.
What is,
I'm Fiona Cecil.
I'm Fiona
Fiona Cecil.
Nolan?
I'll see you.
Fiona Nolan?
I'll see you later. And
That's very funny to me.
that is very funny. And Jude Law just barely getting him in these first 2 episodes. That's why earlier when you were like, we got Jude Law for 8 episodes, I'm like, I think you got him for maybe 6.
Yeah, I don't know if he was
maybe
in that.
4.
I don't know if he was in that helmet. In the
I don't
first
think he
one.
was in that helmet.
You think
I
he Mandalorian?
Yeah, I think you got him in the VO booth as someone else lined up to do a few stunts.
Yeah, it was because I can't tell if the show. Now, hear me out. I can't tell if the show, if I was a 12-year-old watching this, am not supposed to know Jude Law is the captain from the opening.
Huh.
Like, is this supposed to be a reveal later? Because he's not wearing the helmet in the prison. No one's introduced him. No one's talked to him. I think we're not supposed to know he's the captain. Like, as adults, obviously, we know Jude
Yeah.
Law's the lead.
And,
we can
and
tell
I
his
can,
voice
I can
was-
hear Jude Law's voice even when you run like a level of modulation through
Yeah,
it.
but I think as a child, you're not supposed to know that's the captain.
Huh. I did not realize that that's supposed to be a surprise. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it makes sense. Like in this opening sequence, he is a pirate with a gun.
Yeah, he's killing
and then
a lot
he's
of people.
revealed as a Jedi or whatever in this prison cell, or someone who is force sensitive at the very least. And I'm going to be interested to see what the fuck that's about.
I'm also interested to see what the fuck that's about. But yes, I don't think we're supposed to, as an audience, be like, that's the captain from episode 1.
Huh. You're surprising me here. I didn't see this coming.
I gotcha. Gotcha. But yeah, the force sensitivity will be interesting because if I can't imagine he's actually a Jedi if he was like, let's go kill all these innocent people.
Yeah.
on the New Republic ship to get their gold.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's
They
a
killed
Jedi.
a lot of people.
Or a Sith, or maybe he's become a Jedi in the years that have passed.
Oh,
Because
he
I also
was
don't
a
know how
Sith.
much time is supposed to have passed between that opening sequence and when we find him at the prison cell. Because it's not necessarily a one-to-one to what we were seeing with the kids.
Oh, that's a good point. I was thinking more he was just a Force-sensitive person from, like, when the Empire was running, and he never got any training.
Oh.
So, like, you can just be Force-sensitive and no one actually trains you. Like,
Yeah.
From Rogue One. I forget the actor's name.
Okay.
But yeah, you can have Force sensitive and just never to be Jedi trained. So
Yeah.
I was like, maybe he just taught himself how to just move keys a little bit. He's
got a little something, yeah.
That little something.
Or it's possible he's learned it in the prison cell. Either way.
Special prison cell.
To run through a couple of the other characters as well, I will say that to dunk on one of the other kids, KB, the other kid, I'm like, you don't need to give her the stereotypical trope of Asian hair. We don't need to do that with also a Geordie LaForge visor. It's too much shit on her.
She does.
It's too much, one or the other. It's too much shit on her.
I do keep thinking she's actually an android. I'm like, your Data and your Geordie and your standard robot haircut.
Yeah. And I think this
But
kid's
there's
doing.
a reveal that she's a robot.
I think she's doing a pretty good job too.
I think she's very good.
And it sucks that they put too much shit on her.
They do have too much shit on her. I'm actually just like medium on her. She hasn't gotten a lot to do, but like I think she's doing fine with the things she's gotten to be done. I mean, I'm iffy on this. There is too much shit on her, but I'm like, man, that's just a Geordie LaForge visor. But then I try to be nicer, and I'm like, I would like a Geordie LaForge visor though. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe this new generation needs their own Geordie LaForge visor.
Maybe.
It's been a minute.
But it doesn't look as cool. I keep seeing her and thinking that it is a shot from the film Ready Player One. I'm like, it looks like a shitty VR headset. It actually looks kind of...
Is it weird that I got offended when I found that it comes up? I was like, oh, it's optional?
Yeah, why
don't
doesn't
know
everyone
why.
have a visor that gives them powers?
I don't know why I was so mad when I found out it was optional. I was like, Jordy needs his.
Yeah.
Don't you mock him with your fashion visor.
And where I think it does a disservice is that, like, eyes are a very important part of the face and the personality. It is hard to act without your eyes. LeVar Burton was a very talented and accredited adult actor at that point, and that is still an obstacle and difficulty he had to overcome. To ask a child actor to do that, to be like, and now you need to have the physical proprioception of understanding your face and mouth at all times and how to compensate and deliver a performance through that. I'm like, just take the shit off her. Just take the shit off her and let her be a kid who is acting. Like, this is the worst of both worlds. You've already got one elephant kid that's fully CGI. If you're looking for something interesting visually, it's that. Let this kid act.
I can agree with that. If you really must do the visor also, because the visor down seems to be her default setting, visor up could even be her default setting. And visor just comes down whenever she needs to do a tech thing.
Yeah.
Because then we would see her face. We would get to see her emote. She would get to do a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she deserves it. You're a child. This is a child actor. Be nice to them.
Be nice to them.
Unless you wanted to be really equal. You're like, one dude and one girl have to have shit on their faces. It's gotta be equal.
Something equal. Something equal. Well,
and then one dude and one girl get nothing.
Yeah. Well, make her a CGI character then.
We'll figure that out.
Let her carry it through. And for Smee, for SM33, Nick Frost is voicing that, and I think he's doing a pretty good job. The accent's a little thick and inaudible for me, but I'm not sure if that's different if you're a British listener because it's not his speaking voice. He's doing like a Cockney pirate. Which is pretty heavy on the accent, so I found it a little hard to follow sometimes, but when I can follow it, it's fun.
I found him hard to follow off the top. I think it was kind of the frenetic, like I just woke up and I'm trying to take over and I'm grabbing the kids and I can't find the captain. So that whole sequence, I did have trouble understanding him. Once he chilled down, I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Not completely straightforward, still like a little bit of like, but I got the gist of it after that when he was just kind of like, spaceport's this way and then we're gonna go that way. I don't have a Cockney in me. I will not try. I will not try.
I understand.
I won't give it any effort.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. It was just something that I liked it when I could understand it. Couldn't always understand it, but I think you're right. Maybe it'll just kind of ease up as the show goes on.
I have just like a weird, like overall, like kind of thought, which I did find a little weird once it revealed that Jude was a Jedi. I should have mentioned this during Jedi part, or at least Force sensitive. We're not sure. We're not sure, everyone. Don't add us. This show, if you read any of the like official synopsis, it's so hardcore about these are ordinary kids. They're from an ordinary planet and they're ordinary kids and they're on a huge adventure. And that feels to me of like, you can be these kids. This could be you. You could do a Star Wars. And I just find that so weird that then they run into an adult who's a Jedi who has powers. That seemed really like, I was like, oh, great, no Jedi. It's just the Star Wars universe. We're all equal. We're all going to be humans or aliens that don't have powers. We're all normal kids who are going to overcome. And now Jude Law's here. And he's just going to be like, I'm an adult and a Jedi, so I'm probably in charge. That's what I'm guessing is going to happen.
And I'm going to be the coolest character, so I'm going to be the lead character.
He's obviously going to be the coolest character. Although if Jude Law ends up playing like a loser, that's going to be really funny. I actually think that would be
even
amazing.
If he does that, he's still going to be the lead character.
He's still going to be the lead character. Yeah.
Even aside from being Jude Law, he's the most interesting person around.
He's easily, instantly the most interesting person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just funny to me when he like had Force powers. I was like, oh, this ordinary adventure, huh? Star Wars? Jedi just fucking everywhere.
Yep.
You couldn't have one story without Jedi.
You couldn't have one without it. And like, it sucks when you put them in proximity as well, because like you can have stories without it, like, and/or rules. Obviously, a much more adult thematic adventure that it's going on. But there is a quote that I think of fairly often from Justin McElroy, which he has brought up on the podcast The Besties, which is a video game podcast, and I'm a fan of. But Justin McElroy has said a few different times in reference to stories where you're near Jedi, but you're not a Jedi, is that he said it feels like a story he calls Save Me Spider-Man, where he's like, hey, check it out. This is a story about Spider-Man, and you play Jim, a guy in New York, and you hope Spider-Man will save you. And it's like, well, that's the least fun way of doing this. You can have stories about a guy in New York. You can have stories about Spider-Man, but to have a story called Save Me Spider-Man is just boring. And he's used that a couple times to talk about stories that are Jedi adjacent, that aren't about Jedi, where it's just like, well, everything's just kind of now like, well, why isn't the Jedi doing it? Like, I just don't care anymore. Why?
There's a magic person that could be doing it?
Why don't we just have the wizard do it? Yeah, like, the wizard's here.
The wizard ninja could bang this out in an hour, guys.
Yeah. If it isn't about that, it needs to be and/or it needs to be fully not about that. So yeah, just the condensation of the sentence, save me Spider-Man as a story type, is something that he has said once or twice on that podcast that I think about quite frequently. Save me Spider-Man.
Oh, I love that. No, and I totally agree with that. We'll see where this goes. Maybe it'll be a fun romp, and maybe
I'll give it some more.
I actually I'm in the back of my mind somehow. I kind of thought Jude Law was even lying, and it was a trick. About the keys, so we'll find out.
Yeah, I was also thinking grift, but I'm like, has something happened between then and now that you're trying to grift the kids to get them to tell you where the planet is, and you're back in with the crew?
Yeah.
Grift is a distinct possibility.
I think there might be a con happening.
Yeah, possible big grift. But let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change. So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this? If you could change anything. Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, to please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcasts. And as well, if you do want to see the visual version of this podcast, we now post the videos on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@FromSuperheroes. So you can subscribe and you can check out the videos, like the videos, and leave a comment over there as well. Why don't you?
Lots of places to review, to comment, to subscribe. It really helps us move up the charts in our hearts. People see there's new reviews. They're like, that place is cool. They're gonna save us Spider-Man. They're gonna do it all. We really appreciate everyone that listens and also leaves us a little rating for our hearts. For the holidays, we would love reviews.
That's ratings. The gift to us.
That's literally. Fuck, I'll put it right under the tree. I'll print them off. I'll put them under there. I'll open them on Christmas Day.
That's the gift that keeps on giving. And speaking of gifts that keep on giving, that would be our Patreon page where we keep giving you exclusive monthly content over on patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Every month, depending on what is in your budget, for $1, you can get our webcomic early. For $3, you can get these episodes early and ad-free. At the $10 level, you can get an exclusive episode of this podcast every single month. Next week, we will have our episode about Secret Level, the entirety of the anthology series on Amazon Prime, and that will be up next week. You'll get the exclusive monthly episode every month at the $10 level, or if there's one specific episode you want to listen to, you can buy individual episodes for $5 as well.
There are so many options over on our Patreon. Also, I love the $3 early and ad-free. If you need to know immediately what we think of Craven next week, what we think of Sonic 3 the week after that, a lot of fun new releases coming out. We're going to let you know if you should head to the theater.
We usually release the early ones on a Thursday, so you can know if you want to spend your weekend there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We try to get it to you fast and good.
So check out all the options over at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change about this if you could change anything? Diana, what would you change?
My biggest change is, man, I'm going to maybe steal what you said earlier about Fern rebelling because her mom's a Nazi. That's really fun, but that's yours. That's cool. Because my change that I wrote down is just that Fern is nicer. But she's also cool. Instead of being a bully, I just think she should be cool in an aloof way. Not that I lie to you and I'm mean to you and I use you, but that just hey, sup? Don't even interact kind of aloof coolness, which isn't mean. It's just kind of, I'm in my friend group. I don't interact with you. We just kind of ignore you aloofness would be much more reasonable. She's just in her own little world, kind of aloofness. And honestly, I would just pick up the pace. That's such a big, it's kind of like a executive note overall that you'd give instead of a one individual change. But I think this could move at such a fun pace if they just picked it up. There's a few scenes where the kids are having fun. That quick scene where they do claimsies about who owns the ship is actually so cute, and they actually are talking fast and they're having a good time. And I'm this is what the pace we should be moving at. But instead we have long shots of there have been so many establishing shots of Atten now, which is crazy because I feel we're never going to go back there until the end of the season now. So I'm oh wow, why did we spend so much time on these long drawn out shots and scenes that nothing happened? So I really just think the pace needs to really start moving. I really hope the rest of the episodes are 30 minutes or less. The first one being 50 was way too long. So yeah, just pick up the pace. Fern's nicer. And then I think we're having a way better time. Maybe 8 Neils. More Neils? Is that an option? Andrew, what would you change?
My change would be, well, first of all, I love all that. I agree. On the Atten thing real quick is that I find it so boring, the amount of establishing shots that they do here, where I'm this is Star Wars, and you could have made a really interesting world. Instead, you made the suburbs. A world that is frankly boring on Earth. There was just so much establishing to being what if Star Wars had a garage? And I'm this actually...
I actually really liked that,
you like
to
it?
be
Okay.
honest. I liked the ET-esque Goonies nature of these are kids from a neighborhood. I don't think that needed so many shots about it, but I did like the design and idea of kids from a neighborhood.
Okay.
As I said, I think they're they're your proxy characters. They're ordinary kids like you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind that.
All right. So that wasn't for me, but obviously that is something that appealed to some people. So that's just kind of a mixed bag. But yeah, I agree. A lot of wasted time, especially in this pilot. The whole we need power converters to do a race plot has got to be dropped completely.
Assessments.
And you know what? I don't even mind assessments being a thing. Maybe assessments are what they're all focused on. I think the 4 of these kids need to all know each other right away.
How do you not know each other? Your school's not that big.
The establishing shot of I saw them out the window of the bus. And it's okay, you go to the same school. You should just know each other.
The year's almost over.
Yeah.
It's not the first day.
Absolutely. If anything, I think that because they have that really funny moment where Neil has like loving eyes at someone else who is in his class, I think that should just be KB.
It should probably just be KB.
That like the two nerdy friends kind of know each other and want to hang out more and want to continue going to the same classes and stuff like that. And then the two of their individual adventurous friends are the ones that are kind of like getting them wrapped up into trouble, but they're the ones who ground the group. So I think they should all kind of know each other. Neil and KB in particular are very interested in hanging out together. And I think that that's very cute. It's very charming. It kind of anchors everyone together. Then when their two adventurous friends go get like detention or outside the principal's office together, it's like, hey, my friend's friend. Like
the buffer friend's gone.
The buffer friend is gone. And I think that just, it coalesces this group so much faster with so much charm if they all know each other, and Neil and KB should be the glue there.
I completely agree. I think that would blow things up so much faster. Yeah, when Fern introduces herself, I'm just like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
This school isn't that big. Kids all know each other. It's the end of school year if you're doing assessments.
And it's like, I think she's supposed to be a slightly older, cooler kid.
I think she's at least 1 year older, it seems.
Yeah, but it's like they could still have friends of friends or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Neil might be 75, as we said.
Yeah.
We don't know how it works.
It's Star Wars.
They're aliens.
Yeah. Grogu hasn't spoken yet, and he's like 300. Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that change.
So I think that's just a simple thing. It gets it moving quicker. We can cut the whole power coupler thing, and it just moves quicker and peppier in that scenario. And then it just makes them all friends, which allows them to be quippy and fun, and maybe even a little bit mean to each other, but in a way that people who already know each other can be.
You can be a little bit meaner when you already know each other,
Yes.
especially if your friend is friends with this other person's friend. You're like, my friend's my friend.
Yes.
That's like an antagonism that I can understand of like, my friend is my friend.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's my change to it.
I love this change.
Sweet.
Love it for Skeleton Crew.
Well, we've made Skeleton Crew better. That's going to do it for us this week on the podcast. We will be back next week on the podcast, and we will be talking about Kraven the Hunter.
We're going to talk about, if it's out, if they don't cancel it,
if they don't,
I'm not putting money down.
You're still not sure, but I think we're going to go see it next weekend.
I will not be gaslit into believing this movie exists.
One way or another, I'm going to see a man wear a vest without a shirt on.
He's going to hire a guy.
I'm going to hire a guy.
If Aaron Taylor Johnson won't do it,
I'm going to hire a guy.
Andrew's got a guy.
And I'm going to see someone with a vest and no shirt on underneath, and it's going to be a good weekend. So we'll be talking about that next week on the podcast. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me online. I'm most places, including Blue Sky. I'm at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Words of Diana, also including Blue Sky. We're both there.
We're both over there now. And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes, and you can find everything we create over at our website, fromsuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.